Okay, let's dive into an animal that seems like it was put together by a committee. A creature so strange, so out there that when it was first shown to scientists, they were absolutely convinced it was a prank. We are going to unravel the wild, unlikely truth of the platypus.
So, picture this. It's the late 1700s, and European naturalists get their first look at a platypus. And they just could not believe their eyes. It looked like a biological puzzle, almost like someone had stitched together parts from a bunch of different animals. The very first specimen sent to Britain? Yeah, they dismissed it as a total hoax.
And I'm not kidding, this wasn't just a hunch they had. We're talking about serious, prominent scientists who are so sure it was a fake that they literally took scissors to the specimen trying to find the stitches. They were positive they were being tricked, but of course, they found nothing.
So what was it about the platypus that just broke everyone's brain? Well, let's break down this incredible biological mashup.
It really does seem to have a little bit of everything, doesn't it? You've got that iconic bill, but get this, it's not hard like a bird's beak, it's actually soft and rubbery. Then there's the tail that looks straight off a beaver, a body that reminds you of an otter, and of course, those unmistakable webbed feet. It's no wonder it just completely shattered all the rules of animal classification at the time.
But here's the thing. The platypus isn't some random collection of parts. It's an absolute masterpiece of adaptation, perfectly engineered for a life split between the freshwater streams and riverbanks of eastern Australia.
Take its fur, for example. It's got 2 layers. There's a super dense, woolly undercoat for insulation, and then longer guard hairs on top that make it totally waterproof. This whole system works so well that the platypus stays warm and toasty for hours, even when it's swimming around in nearly freezing water.
And its feet? Pure amphibious genius. When it's in the water, the webbing stretches out to create these powerful paddles for swimming. But the second it gets on land, that same webbing folds back, revealing these sharp claws that are perfect for digging burrows. It basically has its own set of retractable swim fins. And that big, flat, beaver-like tail? It's not just for looks or steering. It's also a personal pantry. The platypus can store up to half of its body fat right there in its tail. That's a crucial energy reserve for when food gets scarce or for a female when she's busy incubating her eggs.
All right, let's talk about its most famous feature, that bill. It's so much more than just a weird-looking snout. It is an extraordinary, high-tech hunting tool.
Now, think about this for a second. To protect itself, a platypus squeezes its eyes, ears, and nostrils completely shut the moment it dives underwater. So, how in the world does it find its food in the dark, murky riverbed? It's not using sight, it's not using sound, and it's not using smell. The answer is basically a biological superpower. It's called electroreception. You see, every time any living thing moves a muscle, even a tiny worm, it generates a teeny tiny electrical field, and the platypus can feel it. The whole secret is packed into that soft, rubbery bill. It is covered in a staggering 40,000 electroreceptors that can pick up the faintest electrical buzz from little invertebrates like shrimp and crayfish hiding in the mud.
And it all comes together in this really elegant hunting strategy. The platypus dives down, sweeps its head from side to side, just scanning the river bottom. As soon as its bill detects one of those electrical pulses, bam, it knows exactly where its next meal is. It scoops up the food, tucks it away in its cheek pouches, and then heads to the surface to eat.
So beyond their wild anatomy, platypuses lead these fascinating, and for the most part, solitary lives. But there are some pretty big differences between the guys and the girls, including one that's, well, quite sharp.
Yeah, these animals are not social butterflies. They mostly keep to themselves. A male's territory can be pretty huge, sometimes stretching over 4 miles of river, and it might overlap with the smaller territories of a few females. But for the most part, they don't really interact much, except, of course, when it's time to breed.
And that brings us to another no-way feature of the platypus. The male is one of the very few venomous mammals in the entire world. On the ankle of each hind leg, he's got a sharp, hollow spur that's connected to a venom gland.
So what's the venom for? Well, it's not for catching dinner or fighting off predators. The venom gland gets most active during mating season, and those spurs are used pretty much exclusively in fights between rival males competing for a mate. And while it's not deadly to people, the sting is said to be unbelievably painful.
We've seen how the platypus lives, but how does its life even begin? Well, this is probably the most famous platypus paradox of them all.
Yep, here it is, the fact everyone knows. The platypus is a mammal, but it lays eggs.
This puts it in a super exclusive club called monotremes. The only members are the platypus and 4 species of echidna. They are the only egg-laying mammals left on the entire planet.
So after mating, the female digs this incredibly long and complex nesting burrow. It can be almost 100 feet long. Way down at the end, she lays 1 to 3 small, soft, leathery eggs. Then she curls her body around them to keep them warm for about 10 days.
And once the tiny, bean-sized babies hatch, they're called puggles, by the way, the mom feeds them in a way that is just mind-blowing. She doesn't have nipples. Instead, she actually secretes milk from pores on her belly. The milk pools in little grooves on her skin, and the puggles just lap it right up from her fur.
With all of these unbelievable features, it is no surprise at all that the platypus has totally captured our imagination and become a celebrated symbol far beyond the riverbanks it calls home.
Its importance is crystal clear. Right up there with kangaroos and koalas, the platypus is an emblem of Australia's one-of-a-kind wildlife. It's so iconic, in fact, that it has a permanent spot in the pockets of millions of Australians, right there on the back of their 20-cent coin. You know, from a venomous spur to a bill that sees with electricity, from laying eggs to sweating milk, the platypus just seems to break every single rule in the book. It's a living, breathing reminder that the natural world is always full of incredible surprises. So I'll leave you with this. What do you think? Does any other mammal even come close?